The average rate of citizens killed in the US by the police every year is 1 in 7 hours. And 1 out of 3 of those citizens is an African American. Police brutality has been a problem since the 20th century, and we have been struggling against it for a very long time.
Yet police brutality still persists today and has not gotten better, as shown by the rise in mass shootings. Despite the decline in violent crimes, it doesn't just stop there. There are other forms of racial injustices shown in the law enforcement in the US. For example, statistics have shown that the incarceration rates of African Americans have been much higher than those of white Americans, even though black and white communities do similar amounts of drug abuse.
Some people might attribute this to the fact that black neighborhoods have a higher crime rate, but they should also keep in mind that the fact that government spendings are disproportionately lower for those neighborhoods. That puts them at a disadvantage in academic and economic opportunities. On top of that, police brutality usually doesn't happen with serious crime. They can happen over misdemeanors too.
Emily Black is an African American who was pregnant when she was forcefully pulled out of the back of her fiance's car by a police officer because the car had the incorrect registration tag, and she could not comply with the police officers because of her pregnant conditions. The police officer proceeded to stomp on her, causing her to lose her baby a few days later. What made it worse was that the officers around at the time did not even try to intervene when they saw their colleague violating Emily Black's civil rights. It is said by 50% of the police officers that it is normal for fellow police officers to stand by and do nothing when they see other officers are not following the correct procedures. All of this clearly shows that this is a persisting issue that needs to be addressed, and here's how we can help. Removing qualified immunity is a policy that makes it harder for citizens to sue police officers for violating civil rights. We need to do this so that police officers can be held accountable for their misconduct. If more police officers are held accountable for their misconduct, they will be discouraged to violate civil rights because they will no longer be able to get away with it so easily.
Sometimes police officers claim to not have purposely committed police brutality because they have mental problems, which makes sense because their jobs are among one of the most stressful ones out there. The problem is not the police officers don't have access to mental health care. They do. It's the fact that they don't show or admit weakness around other officers. So if we create obligatory mental health care programs for police officers, they won't feel uncomfortable with mental health counseling. These are only a few among many other things we can do to fight the problem. Among them are defunding the police and diverting the funds to other public services that can better serve the community. So we have a lot of options. We envision a future in which the police officers are seen as our friends and allies and not intimidating tyrants.